Good, is it? Gee whiz. It's 12 minutes to 3. Good afternoon, Suidlanders. How are you? I completely lost track of time. I made an egg with some toast about, I suppose, an hour and a quarter ago. And at the time, in my mind, I was having lunch early. You know, I was being naughty. I just lost track of time today. Today being Tuesday, the 31st of January, 2023. I'm sorry I didn't make a video yesterday. I had a pie from the local shop. And even as I was eating the pie, it didn't taste as if there was something wrong with it. But, do you know what I mean? You just wonder to yourself. You can't pick it up distinctly or consciously. But anyway, I should think that it suffered the effects of the blackouts of last week. And that just goes to show you how real business is actually affected in a manifest fashion by these things. So much money being lost, me falling ill. Yesterday was almost a write-off. I was grotty the whole day long. And I did a big interview last night. And as the interview was coming closer and I was doing research, you know, lying down and then choosing subjects that I thought might be germane to the interview and boning up on them, I realized that when I eventually got up, I was going to be not in a good shape for the interview. So I took 3 extra strength Disprins, and by then I must have been on my 6th dose of Eno, you know, just to try and get the acid balance right in my system and get over that bout of food poisoning. So yeah, these are the real effects. And even today I'm not feeling terribly well. So I've been doing easy work rather than hard work. Nevertheless, guys, I want to chat to you. I've been dying to make a video about this, but I had a bit of a backlog. And last week you would have seen that I posted on, I can check, I suppose, without much difficulty. But between the 25th, the 26th and the 27th, that is to say Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, I posted 10 videos, but that's because I'm doof. I was meant to, and I made the same mistake twice. On Wednesday, I thought I'd push one video over, and I didn't. On Thursday, I thought, oh, you know, push a video over. Vrachtig, I did it a 3rd time on Friday. Instead of making 4 videos and posting 2 of them, and then 2 on Sunday, I just completely, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I ended up posting them all on the same day. But it's quite good if I make a couple of videos and I leave one for the next day and then do another one. Then you build up quite a good body of them, you know. Every time you've got a great idea, or you're in the right mood, or you've got the time, or you've just watched a striking thing, you can do a video that is topical to that day. Then the less topical stuff that does, you know, it's not about today. It's not urgent breaking news. Late final edition of the newspaper. If it's not time sensitive, you can throw it over to the next day and slowly build up a library weeks in advance, which is what I used to do. Sometimes I'd make 16 videos in a day, wanting them to be published over perhaps whatever, call it 5 or 6 days. And then when dramatic stuff came up, boom, you hit it. So yeah, that was the slightly messy video thing of last week. I don't know what happened to me, honestly, because I should be able to do that quite naturally. Nevertheless, guys, let's get on with important things. And this is just a terrific subject. As I say, I've been dying to to cover it since last week, Wednesday, when I got the article on News 24, that I had stuff, I had lots of topics. I was going to leave this for a day or two because it wasn't sensitive to Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. Discovery allocates up to 10,000 Rand extra per family for screenings as cancer, heart problems spike. There's a comma there. So cancer and separately heart problems spike. Now, you will remember that in mid-November we reported to you, beloved Saitlanders, that Discovery had revealed that it had seen a 200% increase. So that's 3 times as many. If they used to see 10 a day, a week, a month, whatever, they were seeing 200% increase on top of 10. That makes 30. 3 times your original number. Increase in heart-related claims among its members. And it's important to provide that caveat quite emphatically. It's one thing to say Discovery is seeing an increase. Where is it seeing the increase? If it's seeing it, as it was, within its members, then you know that we're talking largely, not only, especially in these times, there is a large and growing black middle, and upper class in South Africa, which makes more and more use of and becomes more greatly, more proportionately the clientele of Discovery. Nevertheless, Discovery traditionally was the preserve of wealthy white people who could afford the unbelievable monthly premiums. So whatever the percentage of whites may be now, whether it's 40 or 50 or 60 or perhaps still even 70 or 80, the fact remains that it is large. It is disproportionately large. White people are disproportionately represented in Discovery's clientele. And what is more, wealthy white people are disproportionately represented in Discovery's clientele. So what they're seeing is wealthy white people, not only but largely, if you want to generalize a bit better, you could say wealthy people. Suddenly, when I say suddenly, I forgot to mention that they had seen this spike over the previous 2 years. Since the beginning of 2020. In myocarditis and other cardiac events. Now, as I say, this report that I'm sharing with you today comes hot on the heels of that. It's from the 25th of January. That other revelation was from roughly, I'm trying my best to remember, but I can't swear to it, the 15th. I want to say the 15th of November. I could be mistaken. So give or take, just 2 months later, they're now allocating up to 10,000 Rand extra per family for screenings. Discovery Health Medical Scheme has launched the Wealth Fund, W-E-L-L, the Wealth Fund. I can't tell you. I had, during the course of my career, a fair amount, thankfully not too much. I started at the bottom, so I don't want to make it sound like I was, I qualified as let's say, an advocate at the age of 23, and so my career in law was as an advocate. When I say I was a projects manager, I wasn't always that, but I was for a long time, after years of climbing the ranks. a projects manager for what's known in the industry as special projects. So that is to say live events that have some, you know, not birthdays and bar mitzvahs. Inaugurations of presidents, opening ceremonies of World Cups, closing ceremonies, global broadcasts of, you know, for MTV, 150 countries live. That was my game. And so I obviously had a fair amount to do with these young graduates of the AAA School of Advertising, Marketing, PR, Music, and Fun, and social media, and how they get it right to talk the holes that they do into the heads of the CEOs of South Africa to trivialize their brands with, like this, the Wealth Fund, the well, because we keep you well, the Wealth Fund. I will never, as long as I live, I won't understand it. The Wealth Fund to encourage health screenings. It says health screenings were not at optimal levels before the COVID-19 pandemic, but now this has worsened. As people avoid screenings. Who's avoiding screenings? Apparently people are just steering clear of screenings. What would be the motive for steering clear of a screening of your health? A checkup to you and me in normal English. A checkup. Why don't you want to go for a checkup? It's either because you think you're very, very, very healthy, or because you, I mean, if there's a change. In my case, it's because whatever. But there's no change in it. It's always been like that. In fact, I'm now considering becoming slightly diligent about it. About going for checkups. This would be my, if I went for one now, it would be my first ever. I mean, a checkup. Just because checkup. But you either know that you're in rude health or believe yourself to be in rude health, or you don't want to know the answer. I've thought about that. There's no third reason, except perhaps money. And I'm sure if it was a cost-related thing, they would say so here. I put it to you that it could be that people don't want to know the truth because they know the truth. And if they're going to suffer some sudden cardiac or cancer event, they'd rather be taken by surprise. I don't see what other reason there could be. As people avoid screenings, doctors have seen a spike in late-stage cancers. What do you mean late-stage cancers? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Isn't stage 4 the... Okay, I understand. If you miss screenings for whatever period of time, the cancer is going to be further progressed than if you hadn't missed the earlier opportunities in its progression to assess its progress. We understand that, thank you. But they make it sound like people have been dodging this matter for 15 years, or 10, or 5. Advanced diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. Discovery Health Medical Scheme has set aside 1.5 billion rand people have missed a few screenings to boost healthcare screenings and preventative care among its members amid a spike in severe diagnoses like late-stage cancer. Last night I did And actually, this was a contributing reason to me not doing a video yesterday. Besides the fact that I felt so grotty, I had a big interview to do, and as I told you, I was doing research for it in the afternoon, and then I took a whole lot of discipline and what have you, and I was great for the interview, but what was my point? Was that I didn't have that much time to do the video because I was doing the interview, and after the interviewer, Scott Bolson. Scott Bolson, the guy who lives in Australia, who has the distinctively South African accent, said to me afterwards, he was very, very flattering and complimentary, and his personal assistant or secretary sent another, even more flattering and complimentary letter to Nicoline, who works for me. Jan van der Merwe's daughter, Nicoline, that is such a nice lady. But the point is not to brag. The point is that in his thanks, saying, gee, that was terrific, he said, however, guaranteed YouTube is going to have a conniption when they, become aware of what you said during the live stream. The content is going to drive them crazy. They're going to take it down, guaranteed. They could never deal with such truths. And what I said in the interview last night was not very controversial. It was not controversial at all, because all of it, everything that I said, without exception, there were, when I say without exception, there were exceptions, but they were overtly speculative. What do you think? Me. Gee, thanks for asking. I think that maybe, could be, possibly, perhaps. But when it came to profession, to professing something, to asserting something, to claiming something, making a claim, everything could be substantiated in a scholarly, academic fashion. Nevertheless, they can't handle the truths. So he said, we're going to have to put it on another channel. And my point is, in this spiel now, that sadly I can't be candid in this, but I want to say bluntly, these gangsters are lying. These gangsters are telling lies to the face of the world. Discovery. Lies by omission and lies by prevarication. Dissembling. They know full well why it is that they're experiencing this phenomenal spike in illness. Far progressed illness. And I put it to you that it's not a case of, these late-stage diabetes developing, that they usually develop from 0 to hero in 2 years. I put it to you that there is a third factor, a second factor if you like, but I'm going to stick with third. A third factor that is responsible and entirely responsible, utterly responsible, completely and totally responsible for these illnesses metastasizing, if I can borrow that medical term, metastasizing from incipient and inchoate illnesses to late stage, I'm on my last legs. He's on his last legs. She's got weeks to go. He doesn't have long now. He's got 1 foot in the grave. 1 foot in the grave. Can't believe it. The family didn't know. He didn't know. Then all of a sudden the doctor said, he's with Discovery, he's with Discovery. They're very well off. Stage 4. 1 foot in the grave. I'm telling you, there's a day of reckoning coming. The dishonesty and the misleading through that dishonesty is grave. It is the gravest in the history of the world. There is no competing example or example that is a competitive rival to what these people have done to the health and welfare of the world over the past few years. They have destroyed the world, and they have been responsible for the blood of millions. I don't know the numbers in South Africa. I don't have the faintest idea, because we don't have an vaccine adverse events reporting system as they do in the USA, and we don't have the equivalent of the sources that Dr. John Coleman, for instance. If you want to know about the facts and the figures, the data and the statistics, official government in the UK, you should have a look at Dr. John Coleman's channel. He's a nurse who got a PhD in nursing. So I can't tell you, but yesterday I was reading something in which the author alluded to the non-reporting of vaccine injuries in the rural areas of South Africa. You can I don't know, you can only speculate. I don't think we will ever know, except in theory. You know, one day people will say, these were the numbers we've managed to calculate that the different categories of the different vaccines, because it's well known now that they had different strengths. It's very well known. Harmed this number of people proportionately as a percentage. According to gender, it will be different for male and female. And according to race, it will most certainly be different according to race. Yeah. And I think that then we'll be able to get a rough idea. I mean, then we'll say, okay, they say that the vaccine harmed 20% of all of the people that received this vaccine, such and such a vaccine. And such a number of people in South Africa received the vaccine, that vaccine. Therefore, multiply the percentage by the number, and you've got the number again of people actually harmed. Yeah, guys. Anyway, I think enough said. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll speak again soon. Goodbye, and God bless all of you.